Welcome to Causality. My name is Shalom Bar-Eretz, and in this video, I'm going to be looking at the comment section of my last video, which was in collaboration with Ryan McBeth, where I looked at his after-action review and gave my own thoughts. What a comment section! Um, so yeah, I wanted to make this video, kind of go through some of my thoughts. Welcome everyone new here, because this did spur a lot of growth for the channel, and talk a little bit about what my ideas are, what I see this channel becoming, and how my interactions with you, the viewers, how I view that. It's been great interacting with you guys in the comments. It's been really fun, actually. I didn't expect that so much. A lot of the comments were really warm, were friendly, and had good input, good analysis. There were also others, and I'll get to those. But for the most part, thank you. Thank you for being kind and courteous and looking at the world in a way where it can get to some nuance. And this video also is to kind of introduce myself more properly, perhaps, to go through who I am, what I'm about, what's my deal. Who is this, as one comment put it, angry IDF guy? Um, yeah, I don't think I'm an angry IDF guy. I think in that video I was showing a more sterner side of my personality. And perhaps this video kind of lets me show a more softer side. So I'm 38. I have a wife and 4 little girls. I have an academic background in political science and sociology and international relations, and that's really where I get a lot of my different viewpoints from. And yes, I'm a major in the IDF reserves. And someone asked on a different video, actually, what that means, as in, am I ground forces or am I in logistics or somewhere else? And it's a valid question because that does kind of look at who I am and what do I know, what am I saying? And so the answer is yes, I'm a major in the ground forces. My background is in infantry, but as mentioned in the video, battle teams. And my own particular unit is very mixed, so it deals with everything. And so I'm involved in a lot of planning, a lot of strategy even, and force deployment, and also command and control with forces deployed. So I feel very comfortable saying major because in actuality, it's kind of an undersell. My tactical and strategic responsibilities are more than the vast majority of majors. So I'd rather keep it simple. And also, it's what I do is kind of hard to explain, even to someone who is in the IDF. If they aren't familiar with different structures, it's not that clear to the layman, especially. So I'd rather just put the title major without any explanation. And I'm fine with it because I'm underselling it. And so I don't feel like I'm being a fraud or anything. And I know for the most of the audience, it works. It's basically just a signpost, but I feel that the analysis that I bring doesn't quite have to do with simply the rank that I have, but more of the experience and the specific positions, and also my academic background and my wider world view. Another disclosure, which I think needs to be said, not that I claimed anything, but I think some people assumed I never served in the Gazan front. Okay? I had exposure to a large amount of information coming out of Gaza, probably more than most of the people who were actually there. But I myself wasn't in Gaza. So take that for what it is. I never claimed I was, but just in case someone got that impression, I want to put that out there so no one can make the claim that I'm trying to be someone who I'm not. One thing that wasn't mentioned so much in the comments, which actually kind of surprised me, was that I speak fluent English with an American accent. And yes, I was born and raised in America, in Nevada, in a small town called West Wendover. But I think that does give me a better understanding of how to communicate to an American and Western audience. I think that I don't only speak English, I speak Western. I understand the culture and where people are coming from that I think a lot of times Israelis don't. That is not really a criticism, it's just a fact, right? I wouldn't expect an American to understand the Israeli culture and mindset as well as an Israeli. But coming from that background, I think I perhaps, hopefully, might have a better ability to communicate with also people who come from a more Western setting. But I've lived in Israel for 20 years. So all of my adult life and the majority of my life. So I also am very ingrained in Israeli culture. I have an Israeli wife, live in an Israeli community, can kind of bring both worlds and hopefully serve as kind of a bridge to explain some Israeli ideas to a Western audience with Western language, because I think sometimes that is lacking. I think sometimes there's a miscommunication coming from perhaps a misunderstanding of the West and particularly how the West views Israel and Israelis. The purpose of this channel is to be more objective and analytical. I hope through this channel I can provide a balanced perspective. I hope it came across that I'm not simply a pundit. Um, I can disagree with Israel as any citizen of any state disagrees with their government. But I think as a whole, I agree with my country, and the interests of my country are my interests, and those are important to me. And so, yes, in this channel, I will make a concerted effort to present Israel's case in the best way possible. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to use propaganda. I'm going to try to provide objective analysis, but yes, from a viewpoint of someone deeply involved and who has tied his fate to the Israeli country. That's who I am. If that interests you, then you're welcome to join me on this journey. From my perspective, I think I can really add a lot of different layers of gray to an otherwise black or white argument. I think also a lot of people who are on the Israeli side also see it in black and white, and it's also not the case. I think nuance is important, and I think discussing the facts is important. And that is the way I try to present myself and present the channel, and that is the type of discussion that I wish to have. And that is also the way that I approach the comment section. And for those who haven't, I recommend go and read the comment section. They were both insightful, and I spent a lot of time in answering as many comments as I could in a thoughtful and productive manner. This even goes for the more controversial comments, and that I'll get into later. I first want to say thank you for all the warm, simple comments, or not simple comments, that I received. They are a huge help for me to understand that my message, that my goal is being accepted and it is falling on willing ears. Obviously not everyone, but knowing that that audience is there who are appreciative of what I'm doing really helps me feel that I'm not just wasting my time here. And so thank you for that. I also see in my comments that there is a large group of people thirsty for the kind of analysis that I'm trying to bring to the table. I am so pleased that that is the case. In the modern internet age, where everything is reductionist, everything comes down to kicking and screaming, there aren't that many venues that can provide a clear-headed and amicable argument. I'm trying to do that, and the people who appreciate that, I am so grateful. Now, to those of you who found this video useful and informative, and also those who have looked at my other videos and found them useful, I have one comment on a different video about propaganda where they said they wish they found it sooner. If that is the case, then I do ask for you to do your part. If you feel that this channel is providing valuable information and perspectives that you yourself feel helps you in some way, then I only ask that you spread the word. I am 100% sure that the algorithm is not going to be my friend. This is not going to be an advertiser-friendly channel. Not because I'm mean or vicious, but because the topics involved are contentious. I understand that. And in order to break through those barriers, I need as much help as I can get. So if you have different venues which are available to you to spread the word, both inside YouTube and outside YouTube, whether on the internet or in the real world. I ask you do so, because if you found this information valuable, let's spread that valuable information to others. And a lot of the comments that you guys wrote were very well thought out and great comments. Okay? And I want to touch upon a couple of the issues that you guys raised. One comment that I received many times was questioning my use of the words won, that Israel won the war. So first, let me contextualize that. This was said in relation to an after-action review of the IDF, right? So when I'm saying that we won the war, I'm saying that the IDF won. I think this is factual. I think this is simple. In terms of the objectives that were given to it, it succeeded in attaining those objectives. I understand that at various points of the war, especially in the beginning, grandiose remarks were made by Israeli leadership, which would put the bar for winning so high as to be literally unachievable. I think this was one of the biggest mistakes that Israel did in the information space during the war. To say eliminate Hamas entirely, which can be taken, and rightfully so, because that's what he said, to mean that every last single piece of military equipment is out of their hands, that no one even has a pistol hidden away in a basement, or that no one even has the ideology of Hamas hidden away in their hearts, is not a realistic goal. And I think this was a huge mistake by Israel to make it such. What I tried to do in the video was to show the more nuanced goals, which were also stated many times, and were the actual war goals, and they were to eliminate Hamas politically, militarily, and to retrieve the hostages. Hamas has been defeated militarily. This statement is, people who are arguing with this statement, it's more about an argument of definition. In the military, you have different definitions of what defeat means. You could say that I'm arguing semantics, and perhaps I am, but in a very real sense, the defeat of Hamas, from bringing them from an organized army with set brigades, set battalions, who are able to conduct a very aggressive and unified defense, they have been defeated. That is what I mean by we won. The remnants of Hamas today, it's a different beast than what it was before. In a very real way, what has already happened constitutes victory. Politically, there's still more work to be done, which is why I use so many qualifiers in the video. Yes, Hamas still does control a portion of the Gaza Strip, and hopefully through the different deals that are being brought to the table, that will be taken care of. I think the best way to represent it is by using an old cliche. Israel has won the war, now it must win the peace. This is a very real challenge. Obviously, there are different things that are happening in the UN and with the US and this board of peace and all of these different things. And how it comes out in the end is still for a matter of debate. I recognize that. I have a video that I put out right after Trump released his 20-point plan, which goes into some of the different challenges involved and how this can play out. It's a little out of date because things have happened since, but I think that still does provide a good way to look at how this peace can play out and how victory can be translated or lost during it. And that isn't even to mention the broader war where we defeated Hamas and Syria fell and Iran. If you look at the strategic position Israel is in today compared to what it was on the eve of war, it is uncomparable, even including the major hits we have taken on the international stage. I understand that on the streets of the US and in Europe, the position that Israel holds has been degraded enormously. I think a lot of that is a problem with Israel's messaging, but I don't think all of it is. I think that you have to give credit when credit is due. Our enemies did a very good job of using emotional language and by skewing the facts in such a way that it turned a lot of opinion against us. Why this is, I have my own thoughts. I also put a video about one contributing factor to it, about how the use of propaganda for the Palestinians, um, why it was so effective. And you can find that on my channel. But I think that in taken on whole, the wars that Israel has fought on the ground, we won, and there are more fronts, including the information front, which are still being fought. And my hope is that these will also be won. And now for the most debated thing in the comments. Probably half of the volume of the comments are on this issue. NCOs. Wow. Some of you guys are really passionate about this topic. I'm not passionate about this topic. I haven't been convinced. I'm sorry. I understand the strengths that are being listed for why career sergeants help. I am still not convinced that these benefits outweighs the different structural changes that Israel's army would have to do. And I'm just saying that I'm not convinced that it's worth it, and that there are other ways to achieve the same goals. But you do you. I don't care that much, honestly. I have seen much greater structural differences undertaken by the IDF. Battle teams, for one. You know how hard it is to get tank commanders to listen to infantry commanders and vice versa? It's not easy. And so I'm not married to the issue of not having career NCOs. I haven't been convinced, but sure, I don't know. I mean, there were some different comments about how this relates to class in the American and the British Army, and I don't want to get into that. Every army is different. You guys do you. I don't know. I don't get it. I understand the points that have been made about it, but I haven't been convinced. I am I am deeply sorry that I haven't been convinced. Let's talk about a different group of comments, which were those who were perhaps a little too pro-Israeli. These are the comments who were angry at me or Israel itself for not simply destroying everything quickly and getting over with it. I also group into this the comments talking about how we should just kill all social media who disagree with us. And to those sentiments, I say this. I understand the want for black and white solutions. I'm also not saying that there isn't merit in different claims. What I am trying to do on this channel is to provide nuanced, looking at the broader strategic context and understanding how decision makers made their decisions, not necessarily agreeing with them, but understanding the broader context involved. I think that understanding that is important, even if you disagree with their conclusions. Perhaps in some places, Israel did need to care even less about what the world thought and to just do things because it can. But on this channel, I want to look at the different calculus that has to be involved when making those decisions, because those are the decisions that leaders are making. They don't have the privilege of simply typing a comment. Rather, they're going to have to live with the consequences, and you have to think out those consequences in advance. Sometimes those consequences are worth it, sometimes they are not. Sometimes the leaders make a correct decision on this, sometimes they do not. But the goal of the channel is not to say this was right or this was wrong, but to open people's minds to the different considerations that were or should have been involved. And now for the last group. Those people who really don't like me, who don't like Israel, and are quick to say a lot of things. First of all, I want to apologize to a lot of them. It seems that YouTube is very aggressive in removing that kind of comment. And so there were people who I engaged with, and then their comments got deleted or moved or ignored, and I didn't see their responses, and they just kind of got disappeared by YouTube. Wasn't my intent. I didn't delete anybody except one by accident. Sorry. And I also think it's a shame. I actually spend a lot of time answering those individuals, and some of that is still there. And I want to say now, if you want to make a comment like that, please do so in a way that YouTube will let it stay online, not because I'm afraid of any inflammatory language, but simply if you use inflammatory language that YouTube deems inappropriate, we just simply can't have that conversation. What I tried to do were to use those inflammatory conflicts as opportunities to learn, opportunities to show my wider audience, using those comments, how I feel is the best way to respond. I always try to respond in a courteous manner, sometimes using a little bit of sarcasm to make my point, because I think most of these points are easily demolished. And I also understood something which I didn't understand before. I have a very privileged position to be able to know the truth. What do I mean by that? When someone makes a comment saying that, how can I defend indiscriminate bombing of children? I can say with absolute certainty that we do not indiscriminately bomb children. There is a gap between what I know and what I can prove. But that doesn't mean I don't know what I know. So there is no doubt within me of the truth of what I'm saying. To explain this, I'll give an example. I can make a claim about any one of you that last Tuesday you ate a sandwich with bananas and pickles. I don't know why I would make that claim, but let's say I did. You can completely deny it, but prove to me that you did not eat that sandwich. It's hard. You can't. It's hard to prove a negative, that you didn't do something. But since I know actual targeting procedures, I'm trained in it. I know the procedures of who gives the order, the chain of command, everything. I know that we don't indiscriminately bomb children. Can I prove that to you? No. But because I have the privileged position of knowing, I don't have any doubt in what I'm saying. To give a different example, if I were to accuse you of harming kittens, you could profusely deny it, and you know that you are correct. But if I accuse your neighbor of harming kittens, then even though you know your neighbor and you are almost sure that he wouldn't do such a thing, that it is inconceivable, there will always be a kind of difficulty in saying it. You will always need to prove to the world and yourself that what you are saying is true. I know we're not harming kittens, at least not intentionally. And so I can say it, which is kind of deepen my appreciation of what this channel can accomplish. Because I have the privileged position of knowing that Israel's side is correct, not because I listen to propaganda, but because I know the truth, then it deepens my duty to share that with others, even though it only becomes hearsay after I said it and you heard it. Perhaps that is enough to change some minds. The final group of comments were those that gave me production notes. So yeah, it turns out that there was a high frequency beeping noise in my video. I did not notice that, which has led me to the horrifying conclusion that I have lost the ability to hear that frequency of noise, which reminds me of a old Tom Scott video where he had the same realization. So at least I'm in good company. And so in the future, I guess I'll have to run it by my wife because she said she could hear the beeping. But I apologize for that. And yeah, that was a real kick in the shins where I had this, collaboration with Ryan McBeth, and then people are complaining that the audio was crappy. Wonderful. I had other suggestions about making it more dynamic, putting in a lot of beep footage, which I attempted in the past to mixed success, I think, and you can see that in my previous videos. Where now I'm trying this different format, which I think is cleaner, easier, and also simply less demanding of my time. Contrary to what many people might think. I'm not getting support for this. I'm not getting either military or governmental support for this channel. So far, this is just being privately funded by myself and with my own free time. So there is a limit of what I can accomplish. Um, video editing was never my first love in life, so I apologize for any failure on that regard. I realized, though, that if I were to wait for things to be perfect, then I would never be able to put out a video to see how it works and improve. If you want, you can say that the mentality I adopted on this is Zema sheyesh. That is what I have. So if what I have is fine for you, then welcome. I will try to continuously improve with the sound, the production, the camera work, everything like that. And I think someone going through my previous videos can see that there has already been an improvement. If you are so inclined and you're a great video editor and want to put in your time, then drop me a line. I'm not expecting it, of course, and I wouldn't be able to pay you, but I'll put that out there. If anyone wants to help, who think that the mission that I'm doing is important, then let me know. I'm open to suggestions. I'm open to ideas, and you can always support monetarily if that's your jam. I'm not asking. I'm just saying that it's there. This is a mission that I've taken upon myself, knowing that it is a solo mission for the most part. But if someone wants to join me on this journey, drop me a line. It's been fun already. I hope that already I have made a small difference. And I hope that if this channel grows, and I think it'll grow only with the support of the viewers, because the algorithm is always going to hate me, then we can turn this into something special and actually achieve something worthwhile. Thank you so much for joining me and for listening to my rambling. I hope I didn't come off as an angry IDF man. Until next time, take care.